Welcome to The Bank is Open, presented by Pickett Sports, Boom Fantasy, breaking down the night in the NBA. Football season is over, so it's all basketball, baseball before you know it to break it all down. NicLarson, and unfortunately for him, the man of the hour, it is Brian versus the books. Brian, this is we can use this as a therapy session for you. How are you hanging in there? What's the mood of Philadelphia right now? People blaming Bradbury, people blaming the ref. What's going on, Brian?
It's I don't know if you can tell I'm wearing a Phillies jersey. I'm already over into the next season, so I'm already
You
passed through
with the
it. But
Sixers or what? You done with the Sixers too?
I wore Sixers for the show with Ryan yesterday, so I just
Oh,
giving
okay.
everyone some love. But no, I it's actually funny because watching the post game interviews, it was really nice to see the players kind of take accountability for the game itself and not play the
Totally agree.
blame game. And I think Philadelphia as a whole too is like a lot of times people are kind of hating on Gannon more than anybody with Jonathan Galen. Gannon with some of his defensive schemes and his rotations, but honestly, as good as Bradbury's been all year, it's like it's one of those holding calls that I don't want to say it's like necessarily ticky tacky, but it's like you see it often. I don't think it comes down to him in terms of him getting a lot of hate. I think a lot of it's just like overall as a team that they didn't really make any big stops when they needed to on the big stage.
Yeah, I mean, I was surprised their defense just couldn't get any pressure. Maybe you can blame the field conditions, but the Chiefs' offensive line really stepped up. And man, the Philly defense was just nowhere to be found. Mahomes never had to make a tough throw. It was pitch and catch all night. Again, I agree. You would have liked to see, if you're a neutral observer, you would have liked to see it play out differently, where it's just like Philly has a chance to get the ball back. But look, they missed the hold on Juju Smith-Schuster, and I think it was the second quarter that killed the drive. So you can't blame the refs, the Chiefs. Look, it's just hard to bet against Mahomes. We talked about it, these 2 weeks. It's just he's the best player at the most important position. He's unbelievable. He's one of the great players of all time, and he comes through. Nick, how the Super Bowl treat you? Any thoughts before we move on to basketball?
Yeah, I think with the whole holding call thing, I think a lot of, I mean, if you listen, like the first when I heard him say it, it was prior to the pass,
It was over. The game was over.
holding, and so every like they don't show you like the whole time they replay. They're showing that clip of it's uncatchable, but if you go back and look, I mean, when he grabbed him, I mean, yes, sometimes they let it go, but I mean, he grabbed him. But I think the biggest thing, like you said, is you can't let Mahomes stand back there, especially if he is banged up a little bit, and just pick you apart. I think he was like 12 out of 13 or 13 out of 14 in
Yeah,
the second
no,
half or after.
it was rough to watch.
Yeah, you
And one was a
can't.
throwaway.
Yeah, he'll
Yeah,
just dissect you back there. So, like
it's
you
one
said,
of
he's
those
the
things too where I was gonna say because you were saying is it's kind of funny to think about how the pressure in the game on both sides was just non-existent,
oh
and
yeah.
I think it's funny that both players on both sides came out, and I think it's funny that some people or like troll accounts will be like, oh, they're making excuses. Not making excuses. It's just that you could watch the game for both sides. These teams had such a trouble with that slick field that cost what like $800,000 to have it ready, and
Amazing.
it was just I mean, the only sack of the game was Jalen Hurts running out of bounds, a yard out of like running out. Like it wasn't really a sack. That was the only time there was a recorded sack. Was that little like trying to get to the line of scrimmage and he runs out of bounds. So both teams are just really affected by that. And I think the Eagles are so used to getting pressure on 4 or 5 man stunts that they didn't adjust at halftime to say, "Holy shit, we're not getting pressure with these looks we're normally doing. We need to figure something out." And they never really did.
I mean, the other crazy thing is like before the game, Brian. If I told you held Mahomes to under 200 passing yards, you're probably
We
feeling
win 34-17. Like yeah,
exactly
that's I'm with that. I think it's one of those things that partly why I think you can get mad at Gannon for not being making adjustments or Sirianni not making adjustments at halftime is that if you dominate the time of possession like the Eagles did in that game and you don't win, it almost goes beyond the players in the game, and there's just something fundamental wrong if you're doing that, if you're having like 35 4 minutes of possession and losing.
right. I mean, you had AJ Brown and Devontae Smith with both like 100 yards receiving.
I think
You,
Goddard
you
had
couldn't
62 or 60. Yeah, everyone had a great game.
you couldn't ask for any more offensively. I don't think.
I thought the time of possession was a little overplayed just because Philly drove the ball, whatever it was, 3, 4, 5 minute drive, then fumble return for a touchdown. So KC got a free 7 points. Then Philly gets the ball back and drives another, whatever, 4 or 5 minutes. Like that's going to skew time of possession when you have a defensive score like that with long drives in between. So I thought maybe, look, if Mahomes they didn't stop him, even though he only threw for 170 yards. Like if he got his possessions, if he got his at bats, he was going to throw for his 300 plus yards. It was pitch and
I
catch
think
for him.
I think the difference maker in that game, as you mentioned, Will, is the second half. There's only 1 3 and out, and it happened to be the Eagles. And it's been something that's been bugging me all year as an Eagles fan is we have this 3rd and 3. We know we can't stop Mahomes. That's just one of those things. You just like no defense wants to do that. But a lot of times Eagles on these 3rd and short situations have these inside stint with the slot receiver, and then we took that deep shot to Devonta Smith on that 3rd and 3, and I was livid at my Super Bowl party just because I hate it. Because 3rd and 3, you don't need the home run play, and we always try to get these home run plays in these third down situations, trying to keep the defense napping. But when you have AJ Brown, you have Dallas Goedert, these guys that can get you 4 yards on almost like any given play, it really like pissed me off that we didn't just try to get the first down and keep the ball in possession, especially with the lead. That you want to just keep grinding out these possessions and try to take the home run ball on a 3rd down. It's just something that I think changed the game a lot too.
And to go back to the holding call, it's look, you don't want to kill the guy because he admitted it. And Sirianni coached, I thought, a good game for the most part. But you got to coach your guys. You got to know in that situation, a hold is the worst thing because a first down ends the game. A touchdown, hey, we're down 7 with whatever, 2 minutes to go. We could still win the game. We could go down tie. It would have been interesting if they went for 2, especially. I don't know if they would have had the guts to. They might have if there was barely any time left. It probably would have been the right thing to do, which could have landed the game Philly by 1 with the spread 1.5 or Eagles money line cash and KC plus 1.5 cashes. But that's the worst thing you could do is hold there and get a penalty. You give them a touchdown, all right, you get the ball back. The worst thing you do is give up a first down, and I just don't know that they were aware of that.
Yeah, I'm glad you said that because that was exactly what because I mean at this point in the night, what is it like 10 p.m. and I started drinking at like 8:30 in the morning, and I was like getting so frustrated as you do, and and my mom came over and she's an Eagles fan in the sense that like I'm a NicLarson fan, like she just like I'm forced to kind of be with them, but it was one of those things where I was saying like, listen, he beats you over the top there. There's no chance that that's anything but a touchdown. I'd rather be down 7 right now with a minute left than to be in this when the game is over. And you meant to go for 2. It would have been interesting as well because how good the Eagles have been in short situation. It would have been it would have been really fun to watch. And I think that's what you said is neutral. If you're a neutral fan, it kind of sucks to have games end like that when there's so much potential for these late game heroics.
Right? Could have been an overtime game.
Will, I got a question for you.
Yeah.
It's I was thinking the exact same thing, and I saw the tweet that you put out. Have you ever seen something as hyped up as this Gronk kick?
Oh my god!
And it's a 3-second.
I had 7 fucking tweets about that. No, don't get me started. So I didn't mean to cut you off. I went on a rant on me and Ryan's show yesterday. That pissed me off.
Go on it right now.
That pissed me off more than the actual game. No, it made me more mad to watch that fucking kick than to watch the Eagles lose. Because
you couldn't even see if it went in or not.
Yeah, and like they cheered as if it went in, but it didn't go in, and like they still were blasting, and like Gronk's on the ground, like about to cry, like he's pissed off he missed his kick, and they're all like cheering around him. And he's like, didn't go in, and they like shoot off the fireworks. But I was just so mad because I originally
didn't even
saw
know what
that
happened.
ad.
I didn't even know what it was.
It's in the middle of the 3rd quarter. If you went pee, you just missed it. Like you just missed it, and then like fan was like, oh, it didn't go in. Like yeah, it's live. They put a cactus at like some random ass like field in the middle of Idaho, whoever the hell that was.
I thought it was going to be he comes out at halftime, like sort of like a halftime show where he comes out, it's live, we're all watching it, we see him warm up, like you think he's going to make it, there's some anticipation, then he kicks it on the field.
I thought it was like going to be like the Dr. Pepper chest pass game.
Yeah, exactly. Even if it was in the 3rd quarter, how like it would have been so electric to watch him kick it live. Even if they wanted the 3rd quarter to leave Rihanna for the halftime, all you have to do is, and coming up next, like say like it's a timeout. It's like coming up next, we'll have the kick of destiny, whatever. Like you could just do that, like, and then they just didn't. It made me so mad because when I saw the ad, my first thought was this is really stupid, and then they kept paying for this advertisement, kept hyping it up, and I was like, you know what, this is gonna be awesome. Like I switched over to like get really excited for it, and then they gave me that, and it just like the fact they fooled me into it just for that whatever 3 seconds of that kick was. It was like a 10-second commercial.
And are we sure it wasn't good?
Yeah, there is a different angle. I can send it to you where they have a guy with a phone that it does hook just left.
Okay. Yeah, you couldn't tell when it hooked. It's sort of like
it was such a terrible angle too.
It was a terrible angle. And
And
Vinatieri's hovering him over with all those people who like those random people. And yeah, it was a bad angle. It's almost like in baseball where you can't tell if it went
I'm
before or
very,
after the home run, the foul pole. Yeah, go ahead.
yeah, and I'm really confused because it was supposed to be live, and like, was that even
It
live?
said
And if
live up in the box.
but like
Yeah,
it
it was
didn't
odd.
look live, and if it was live, that's like stupid that they don't have anyone. So you're saying none of them are going to be like at the game in any capacity or watching the game? Like they're not watching the Super Bowl right now. They're out in the field. Yeah, sure.
And
Second, if it wasn't live, then why did he miss it? If it wasn't live, they could have just made him make it. So they chose, and then they're like, he didn't make it, but we're nice anyway. I swear, like the whole thing was that he's supposed to miss,
Strange.
so Vandal
Very
could be like,
strange.
hey, we're nice, we're still gonna pay it out. I don't think that was live. I think it was the worst part of the entire
And
game.
what did people actually get?
I got $20 free bet that I
Okay.
haven't really used yet, but I just kind of have it sitting there.
Okay.
Did you get anything for your free bets for that?
I got
I haven't checked.
a $5 free entry into, and it said nothing. Like $5 free entry into, and there was nothing after it. I was like,
I got
okay.
I actually they mailed it to me. It was a DVD of the Gronk kick. I get so I can watch
Really?
it.
Was it?
Yeah.
How long was it? 6.5
It was
seconds.
7.5 seconds. Yeah. It was really good. It was worth it.
That's so funny. Yeah, that kick made me visibly upset. Like I said, I was more mad about that than actually losing the game. Honestly, Fendel would have been better off just saying, "Hey, Super Bowl 57, we're giving out free bets." And
Right.
It's like, "Hey, cool promotion."
Exactly.
I get they want to try some tie some sort of event into it. Where it's like, will he make? Will he miss? Add some suspense, some buzz. But boy, that went sideways. And
It was
and they
shot on a
love
potato. The
Right,
video
I
quality. It was.
and they love to shove Gronk down your throats. Gronk's everywhere. Gronk's on this pregame show, that pregame show. Like he was a great player, man. For me, just personally, I don't know. Like he's fun, he's lovable, he's big, but he doesn't say anything that's interesting or do a lot for me in terms of like content. One last thing before we move on to the basketball, and this is totally second guessing. It's not fair. I didn't think of it at the time, but Philly kicking off with 4.5 minutes to go, 5 minutes to go. Were they maybe better off onside kicking, try to either get a possession because you weren't stopping them, and at least if you score, Kansas City's not going to be able to run out the clock. That might have if they had a redo and you couldn't stop them, and you didn't want to be in a position where KC gets the ball last. Maybe a surprise onside kick. It would have been ballsy, but that might not have been the wrong kick.
I actually like that. I want to bring that up to my Philly group chat. I like because that's one of those plays. That's one of those decisions where it's ballsy as all hell, but you're in the Super Bowl and you recover it. You're a genius. You don't recover it, and they only get 3. You have a chance to win it. To score a touchdown, you just accept the fact that people are probably going to make fun of you. But it would be almost impossible to not get a possession if they got the ball at the 40-yard line.
I mean, really think about it. It's 25 yards of field position. What Casey gets it at midfield. All right, they're gonna get it to 25 anyway. That's what one pass from Mahomes. It's like it's a
with
free
the way
shot
he
at
was
the
throwing
ball.
it, yeah.
And Casey probably wasn't expecting it, so you might have had like a 50-50 shot at it. I don't know. Again, that's second guessing, but just haven't heard anyone mention that. I thought it was interesting. But let's move on to the NBA tonight. Before we get to the games, there's only 4 games, so we got plenty of other stuff to talk about. Brian, we haven't talked to you. We'll get 5 games tonight. Okay. Of course,
The Clippers played one game. We get it. You don't count that as a game, so it's 4 games for Will.
Well, they're not the team rested tonight. Golden State's the team rested, but we haven't talked to you, Brian. Last time we talked was Tuesday, and you said maybe Durant goes to the Suns. It's like, I don't think that's going to happen. We were talking about Suns futures, and here we are. The Suns have Durant. They are in action tonight. What did you think? Deadline, just takeaways, the Durant trade, take it wherever you want to go.
I mean, I have very not a lot of stake, but I did put in the Suns ticket as we were talking, and I don't necessarily think that they're going to be the team that wins it all, but it is nice to have like a plus 1900 ticket now for a team that's way down there. I thought it was crazy. Honestly, the biggest thing in that trade is that I thought if they were going to land a big star, it would be a package that involved DeAndre Ayton, who was the guy that everyone thought they'd be moving. So it was kind of interesting to see that they moved Cam Johnson with Kel. And my biggest takeaway is actually not even what you're probably thinking of, but my biggest takeaway of the trade deadline is it's crazy to really sit back and look at the NBA as a business and how it really is a business, that you can get a guy like Mikal Bridges that you trade for on draft day, and he's played 4.5 years for you, never missed a single game, and then he finds out on FaceTime that he gets traded at like 1 a.m. It's crazy to think that as much as it can go far and emotional, it's very much a business in this league.
It's a superstar league. When you have the chance to get one, teams, you got to do it.
Yeah. They gave up a lot. Their window's short because Paul is older, Durant's older, and they're all always hurt. Durant's always hurt. Paul's always hurt. Booker is young, but he's coming off a month injury. My takeaway, I'm curious who you think, life on the line, who comes out of the West. If you told me the Suns were completely healthy, if you can guarantee me that, I'd say with some confidence the Suns are coming out of the West. I just don't know if they're going to be healthy. Not that they're far and away the best team. It's not like the Durant Warriors where it's like, oh my God, they're going to just kill everybody, although they had the one 7-gamer against the Rockets. But they are, to me, they're the best team in the West if they're healthy. But again, the health is a huge issue. Who would you have life on the line right now, Brian, coming out of the West? Who you got?
Oh, that's tough. So you're saying if you're going with the Suns if they are healthy?
No, I was just saying, like, that's my analysis of it. Like, I can't predict the injuries, but if you told me the Suns are healthy, like, I think they're a rightful favorite. I don't think they're a huge favorite, but I think if they're healthy, they'll come out of the West. I have no idea if they're going to be healthy, but take it however you want to go right now, like life on the line. Who's coming out of the West?
Honestly, fate of the universe on the line, pointing to Earth with the death beam. I'm going with Iguodala. So, no, I just want to make that quote in there. I would agree that it's going to be the Warriors healthy or the Suns healthy. Those are the teams, and I think it's really very close between those two in terms of experience, superstar, and everything they have going for them. But it's going to come down to who can outlast in terms of health, especially because Curry's now hurt.
Nicholas.
Will, are we the only ones? Are we the only
I know,
ones?
everyone's giving. I know. I'm not with you. I don't think the Warriors and people like the Lakers after the deadline, and I'll put them in the same boat. Where it's like, I don't even know if they're going to get in the playoffs. They got a lot of work to do, and they're going to have overcome lack of home court in every series. I'm just kind of out on the Warriors here. Just basically a 500 team. They'll probably lose again tonight. I have a hard time with the Warriors. I get the championship pedigree. I think they got so many injuries. I don't know when is Curry supposed to be back. He doesn't have even a timeline for a return yet, does he?
He was out like a month whenever he went out.
And that was what, 2 weeks ago? So, yeah. If they get him right after the deadline and they can get in where they avoid the play and they're like a 5 seed, I can't count it out. I'm not as confident in him as everybody else.
I just don't see him going up anymore. Like, I don't know how they climb spots with Curry out.
Yeah, I guess my thing is if we're going with the totally healthy card, I would take a totally healthy Warriors team over, the Clippers right now, or even Dallas. I'm not super we have to see on, but the Kings are a 3 seed, but if you give me a full Warriors team, it's like
for
a
sure.
7.
Yeah.
So I guess that's I think if you're talking about coming out, I have Suns that are healthy. But if you give me a fully healthy Warriors team against some of these teams that they might be facing, I do think that they still have that. Not even the pedigree, they just have the experience and the talent on some of these teams that the Warriors. The Kings are a team where if that's the first round matchup, if they avoid the play in and they get as a 6 seed, and they have to see the Kings first round. I will take them as long as they're healthy.
Right. I think Nick took Denver. I forget. I know McAfee took the Clippers. He loves the Clippers always. I forget who Brad took. I said the Suns. So the fact that we can name 4 or 5 different teams just in one conference, it shows you how good the playoffs should be. West playoffs should be a lot of fun. Maybe we should just get to the games. 5 tonight. Let's start here. A lot of guys sitting out, so be careful here with who you're playing. That's why you're listening to the show. The bank is open. Pickett Sports, Boom Fantasy. Check them out. Milwaukee is laying 9 against Boston. This would be a great game if everyone was healthy. These are the 2 best teams in the East. But Boston's missing a ton of guys. Nick, this is your Buck squad laying 9 here against Boston. What you got?
Yeah, I think if you're asking right now, I'd say the Bucks are the best team in basketball right now. They've won 10 in a row. They're still not completely healthy unit, but Giannis is playing at his level. Drew Holiday's got back to his role. He doesn't have to be the prime scorer on the team. I don't even the 9 seems low. They don't have Brown. They don't have Tatum. I don't know who's gonna score for them, but I'm probably staying away prop wise in this game. There's just too much of a blowout factor in this game for me to touch anything. I might look at taking the Bucks and pairing it with something else to try to reduce some juice, but I don't really have anything for this game. I think the Bucks could win this game pretty comfortably, though.
So all I heard there was no one's healthy for the Boston Celtics, and I'm going to put in a Boston Celtics line. Have anybody healthy? They're somehow going to win by 14, and it's going to. I'm with Nick here. I actually was looking at Brook Lopez in the spot if Robert Williams was out. But same thing you said. I think he's safe to touch in this game. There's a Giannis who might rest early because he should get some more extended rotations. But as you said, I wouldn't be surprised if the Bucks just make a statement, even though it's a not healthy Boston team. But if they can come out and just win by 30, I think they'll take every opportunity to do so. So it's a little scary. And then I actually looked into fading Giannis. His PR is 46.5, I believe, or whatever it is. And I was looking to fade him in a blowout situation. But then you think about it, and it's still Giannis against a team that might not have Horford. They might start Blake Griffin again. So
And then you look up and Giannis has 20 and 8 in the first quarter.
yeah, so it's one of those games where if Robert, I'll tell you what, if Robert Williams is in and I can still get around that line, it might be a spot where I could fade Giannis's rebounds and hope that they just blow him out. But yeah, it's very scary if you think that it's going to be a Blake Griffin game.
If these teams played in the best of 7 starting, well, they have injuries. So let's just say when the time comes, best of 7 series, who you got?
Bucks.
Can I just say neither and say it goes 7? Because I think it would be it'd be really fun to watch.
So
Dude,
you're
if
saying
you go
whoever
back
has
to
home
last
court.
year, if you go back to last year, the Celtics don't beat the Bucks if Chris Middleton's healthy.
Yeah, it's just the Bucks wins were all narrow, and I was rooting hard for the Bucks. I don't like the Celtics, but I was rooting hard. I would say the Bucks wins were all narrow. The Celtics, when they won, they killed Milwaukee, and Milwaukee had a chance to close it out Game 6 at home that Friday night. They didn't do it, and then Celtics just buried them in Game 7. I don't know. Celtics are good. They're deep. Giannis is the X factor. He's going to be the best player, on the court in the series. I don't know. It'll be a great series. I would say whoever has home court probably wins.
I like that. Can I go with that cop out? Like not cop out, but like same thing where it's gonna go 7. It'd be really fun to watch. But
No,
home
absolutely.
court would be the deciding
I'll
factor.
say this: if Grant Williams ever makes 7 3-pointers in a game like he did in Game 7,
I took his threes that game. I don't know if you knew this. I bet on Grant Williams a lot last year. I have a group chat with Half Birdman on Twitter and Joe Delera called Grant Williams Fan Club. We big Grant Williams fans over here.
That sounds terrible.
What does DeAndre Ayton think of that? Does he approve or
That's
not?
all right. I mean, Grant Williams is in a league of his own. It's him, probably Giannis could be like argued second best player in the league, and then everybody else is way behind.
What was the list again?
Grant Williams,
Right.
a few tiers, and then you have like the Giannis's, if you still want to put Curry, the Embiid, like those are like the tier 2, but tier 1 is standalone Grant Williams.
Got it. All right, so we agree. It's probably it's dangerous to lay this number. Who knows when these teams have their stars out, but to me, it'd be Milwaukee or pass. So I agree with that. This next game, I do have a play on it. The line moved against me. You can get 7.5 now with Orlando. I know second night of a back-to-back, but man, they're good on defense. They're long. Toronto struggles on offense. They can't shoot. A lot of Toronto's points come from turnovers, second chances. I don't know how many second chances you're going to get against Orlando. So I know second night of a back-to-back, but look, Orlando's a young team, so I don't know that it affects them that much. I'll take the 7.5 here with the Magic. I like what I've seen with them. They've been fun. They've been frisky. They got a bright future, a bunch of good young players. So I will take the 7.5 with Orlando. I gave it out earlier at 7, so look, I'm locked in at 7. Brian, what do you got here? Raptors, Magic, side total, props, wherever you want to go.
Yeah, I was just looking at that. So I'm looking at the underdog, notifications because Gary Trent Jr. I believe was ruled out.
Yeah, he's out.
So he's out. So that's actually it's interesting to think that the line moved quote unquote against you post him being out because I would think it would move a little bit more to the Magic. But yeah, do we know if Jakob Poeltl's playing yet? Is he getting a look or no? He's still not making a debut. I feel like I should know that,
playing.
but I haven't. He's playing.
They haven't. Yeah, they haven't. He's been coming off the bench and hacking everybody.
Yeah, but I wonder if he's going to start eventually.
I don't know. He fouled out last game I watched off the bench.
Yeah, because I saw. Yeah, so we'll see because I do think he could be a good fit with that team if they let him. But I do agree with a lot of what Will is saying is that I do actually think the Magic are in a good spot here, especially for a team that's young and you don't have to worry as much about second leg to back-to-back. And
Al Horford ruled out.
Yeah, Giannis might destroy everybody, but yeah, I would lean. I don't have any props in this game. I do think that it is a good spot for the Magic, or even I saw 21 the over at some point, and this might be a spot where the Raptors at home just play at the snailest pace possible, and you can get a good under. Maybe if it starts out hot live or first quarter under, so that's where I would look. In terms of this game, is I would lean Magic spread and then the under in the game, but I didn't have any props for it.
Nick, what you got? Anything to add?
Um, I would maybe look since Trent is out. Maybe I think Ryan put something out with Scotty Barnes points and assists. I kind of like Barnes with Trent's volume taken away. I can't figure like the Magic props have just have me stumped lately. It's hard to pick who's gonna. They're so balanced with when they put people out there. It's like, is it gonna be Fultz? Is it gonna be Wagner? Is it gonna be Bancaro? So it's tough with them. They're just with their rotation. It's a lot of evenly balanced stats at the end of the night. But I do like the plus 7.5 though for the Magic with Trent out, and I mean the Raptors can lay some eggs too. I mean, it's not like they're the powerhouse everybody thought they were. So I like that look, Will.
Yeah, I do like that. And also looking at it, based on what you were saying, is right now the PA lines for Wagner and Fultz are both 20.5. So as you mentioned, it could be either one. But yeah, that should be. I think either one's a good look. But as you mentioned, it is kind of tough. If anything, I would look at Banchera's under. If you think the Raptors do their normal thing of selling their soul to stop, who
Right.
they perceive to be the biggest threat, who might be him.
Yeah, and Robert Williams is in Boston. Eli's telling me something important. I couldn't quite make it out. What was it, Eli?
There's a question of Fred VanVleet if we like him today.
Oh, like him
Cashed a
personally?
full-
I've
he
never
cashed a
met him.
full
What do
ladder
you
the
think?
other day.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he. I will say this could be just my point of view, but I think I always struggle to back guys that rely so heavily on the 3 point shot because it's such a high variance thing to be hot or cold from three that a guy like Fred VanVleet, if he doesn't hit his threes line, is he really going to be able to grind out, say, 22 points, 23 points? His line's at 22.5. That's my only worry with guys like that is that sometimes when you have to such a high variance prop, it's very annoying. But I mean, the Magic allow 13 threes per game, just second most in the league. So if you believe that he can get going against the Magic, then I'm all for it. But I just always get so worried about backing those high 3 point players.
Yeah, could see it. And boy, that under is interesting too. I might look at the under because neither of his teams can shoot 221. That's I don't know. I would be interested in under. Maybe I should add that one too. A game with a little bit of a higher total, and that is the Suns, the new look Suns. They don't have Durant back yet. I don't know if we have a timeline in them. I don't think we do. It'll be sometime post All Star break, obviously. Suns laying 2.5 against the Kings. This is big. Anyone with division bets in that division, Kings are out in front. Suns need to catch them. Suns are home. They're laying 2.5. If you like the Suns, maybe just a cheap money line minus 130, total 234. Nick, what do you got here? Suns Kings should be a fun game.
Yeah, it should be a good matchup to watch. I don't have any plays for this game. I know you have one for this one, right, Brian?
I have two for this one, and I'm
All
gonna.
right.
I want-
I'll let you
I want-
go because one of them caught my eye, so I'll let you go.
Yeah, I actually I'm gonna be the biggest hypocrite on the world and just talk to all this shit about backing 3 point shooters and how you can't really trust them in certain regards. But I am taking Kevin Herter's over in PRA, and this is a little bit different than being a hypocrite because I also think Kevin Herter's a guy that can score inside. Last time he played the Suns, he actually had 20. He had 28 PRA, and he only hit 0 threes. So I think he scored 18 points against the Suns last time he faced them this year without hitting a three. So I trust him to be a guy. If his shot's not working, he still can be effective in different ways. And without Malik Monk, I think this is a great spot for him. He, in 2 games this year without Monk, he had 26 and 28 PRAs overall, including the 28 against the Suns. And in that split, I thought it was very interesting because I'm seeing a lot of people. Our friend Ryan Props is also on Herter, his PA at 17.5. But in the 2 games without Monk, this is something you might like, Nick, as the latter guy, but he has 5 and 8 rebounds.
His rebound's been crazy lately.
Yeah, his rebounds have been good, but without Malik Monk, he has 6 and 8 rebounds without him, which is an interesting spot for 3.5. So I went PRA because I love the idea that he can maybe get there with the rebounds. But yeah, I mean, this is a guy that he's over this in half his games already. So it's like a 50% prop. And without Monk, he's seeing like 30, he saw like 36 minutes on average in the 2 games without Monk. So this is a guy that if you want stats, part of it is being on the court. And he's a guy that just plays and he has the ability to play a lot of minutes. And if you think this game stays close like I do, we might see 36, 37 minutes. And if you're out there for that long, getting to the free throw line can happen. Rebounds can get racked up. You can hit a lot more volume on shots. I just think it's a great spot for him overall, especially without Monk in this matchup. And if you believe in narratives a little bit, I don't really bet on narratives, but if you didn't see, Kevin Huerter was getting kind of shit on today in social media for being named to the 3-point contest, and everyone's kind of saying like, oh, who doesn't belong, making all these memes. If there was ever a chance for him to kind of prove he should be in there, get half of three, without Mikal Bridges now in this lineup, their defense is going to severely get hurt. I think Okogie probably matches up with Booker, which will leave a lot of plus matchups for Kevin Huerter.
We had a 3-point shooting participant controversy. I didn't hear that.
I didn't either.
I don't think it's I think it's just funny. I think it's just people are, even Quan mentioned it today. He made a quote tweet where I think people are just upset that out of all these options, they picked Kevin Huerter.
What were the other options? I'm trying to think.
I guess, who is it? Simons is in there. Lillard. I guess it's just like a lot of more exciting players, should I say? Because Kevin Huerter is kind of, however, someone's in the chat said Isaiah Joe. Isaiah Joe is a Sixers legend.
Yeah, that was a bad one, letting him go. He's a good shooter, man. He's a good player. He's on a reasonable contract. I don't know why Philly just waived him for no reason. He'd really help Philly. He's a good player.
Yeah. And he's top 10 in offensive and defensive rating right now.
Wow. Yeah, that was a bad one. Really bad one.
Yeah, but end of the story is that I think after getting into the All-Star game, to the 3-point contest, and just overall the matchup without Mikal Bridges is this should be a good spot for him, and I trust him to score even if he doesn't get the 3-point volume as he normally sees.
Yeah, I had him marked as well. Suns give up, I think, the 4th most points to shooting guards, so I was looking at that as well. So I'll probably tail you on that one.
Yeah, I went with the combo because without Monk, all of his stats kind of get a bump. So I took the chance that maybe one of them. And then I'm getting reminded here by our friend Eli, but I forgot I had to explain this one. But my next play in this game is DeAndre Ayton, 20+ points. I actually hopped on this last night. It's actually -135 now. I like it at 20.5. If you don't know, I bet on DeAndre Ayton kind of a lot. I don't think I usually talk about him on shows because usually it's a given thing. But if you don't know, the poster in the back there is a picture of DeAndre Ayton signed with his Puma contract. I paid for that based off my winnings on betting on DeAndre Ayton. But he has 20 or more points in 8 of his last 10 games. And he's still getting these lower lines of 19.5, 20.5, 21.5 with Devin Booker back. But Devin Booker being in, as I mentioned, like Booker being back, is that he draws a lot more of those, high marquee matchups. And everything that the Kings struggle with in terms of offensive rebounds, high efficiency shooters, and centers at the rim, it's just everything that works in DeAndre Ayton's favor. The Kings allow the third most points in the paint, and they just have a really hard time guarding that 5 to 12 feet range. And DeAndre Ayton's one of the most efficient shooters in the league, which is funny to say, but like last year he was like the most efficient shooter. It's funny to think about because he's like kind of like that weird name in the league, but
because no one else shoots from that distance.
Yeah, like he just kills it from that mid range, that elbow, and that at the rim. So everything that the Kings do, plus the fact they're just such a high pace, is just such a plus matchup for him. So getting him for 20+ points, which is what he's done in 8 of his last 10 games in this matchup, was one that I actually went 1.5 on. That's what I risked on it because I just think it's one of those things where he's really blossomed into this, player that they kind of wanted him to be, and especially with KD being around coming soon, it's almost like he's blossoming more to kind of show that his role in this team is still significant. So I do like this a lot.
All right. Warriors, Clippers. It can't be a Tuesday without the Clippers, Nick. Clippers are laying 8. I don't trust them to cover this number, but I think this line makes sense. It's a pretty easy pass for me. Do you have anything here, Warriors, Clips?
Yeah, I do have one play for this one. Let me get it up here. Like you said, I do not trust the Clippers at all either, but I did take Draymond Green. I laddered his rebounds and assists together. Wiggins is out, should help his rebounds a little bit. So I took it from 6 all the way up to 10. He's hit the 6 and 6 combined in 9 of his last 12. Um, I think if he can get Poole and Clay going with some assists, he should be able to get there with the rebound. So we'll see if we can hit the base one and then just climb a little after that. Pretty sure we have both the Clippers playing tonight, right? Paul and Kawhi are playing.
I think they're gonna. I think they're gonna. Yeah, they're gonna participate. They're gonna make an appearance, which is nice. Very nice of them.
But remember that they did mention a few days ago that they're going to limit their minutes. So,
Yeah.
funnily enough, Kawhi Leonard's 21.5 points. First thing when I ran my numbers, and Eli would appreciate this, I ran my numbers and I ran my like projections, and first thing that popped up was Kawhi Leonard being like 6 points over his line, and I was like, oh shit, 21.5, and then I was like, oh yeah, they mentioned that they're going to limit their
He's only
minutes
playing
before the All-Star
18 minutes tonight.
Yeah, so it was one of those like, oh wow, what a great line against the Warriors, and then I was like, oh, I'm just gonna end up punching the TV when he sees 9 first half minutes. So yeah, they're playing, and Klay Thompson's in, so I do think this is a spread where it's gonna be very tough for the Clippers to.
Another spot I looked at was Paul George rebounds. The Warriors give up the most rebounds to shooting guards, and George has been putting up. The thing that scared me away, though, like you said, is you have Leonard playing who could steal some, but once again, you don't know how many minutes either of these guys are playing. So
Yeah,
I
my
decided
biggest
to pass on it, but it is one I looked at.
Yeah, my biggest advice too is JD, our friend JD, posted today about how you're handling the pre-All-Star game games. Are you lowering units? How are you handling it? My advice, what I comment there is, I don't lower the unit size I'm betting. I just really like to pick my spots as specifically as possible, where I laid off any Kawhi Leonard stock just on that in the back of my head, just knowing that who knows how many minutes we're going to see with this lineup.
Right.
That's this weekend, the All-Star weekend.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's boy, that's
Perfect. It's always near Valentine's Day, so I always do like a special weekend where if my girlfriend ever found out that they take a break this weekend, I'd be screwed. I always like last year we went on went to Cape May and then we did we did this whole thing, and it was like, yeah, no, don't even care about the games. I left my phone at the hotel room, and I was like, I don't care. So if it ever gets found out that there's a break, oh man, look out! You'll never see me again.
That's a good move. Yeah, you talk about one thing that's lost its luster. NBA All-Star Weekend. I remember when I was a kid, man. It was, dunk contest was huge, and it was all the big names, and they actually sort of played kind of hard in the All-Star game. Now it's just, man, the All-Star game itself is tough to watch. It's basically they just stand around and watch each other dunk, and I don't even know who's in the dunk contest. I know Sharp was supposed to be in it, or is in it. It's a lot of third, fourth tier guys. So I don't know if you can make money off.
That's really what the dunk contest is.
What's that? Yeah, it is.
Like now because you mentioned, because I remember I used to get all hyped up, put on my old Allen Iverson jersey, and we would all watch it as a family.
It was
big
awesome.
dunk contest, the 3-point. It
was
was such a fun time.
A couple times. Yeah, Kobe.
Mac McClung's in it, right? The G League dude.
I believe he is. Yeah.
He's
not even
in the league and he's in it. That's what I mean.
And it's also one of those things where everyone wants John Morant to do it, but he's not going to risk the injury. It's like one of those things where it just it lost its luster of being like a mainstream event, and now and then people complain about it sucking, but then no one really does anything about it. So it's very
it's like the Pro Bowl. There's no solution. There's no putting the toothpaste back in the tube. I do have to amend what I was saying. I was knocking the dunk contest and saying no names are in it. Jericho Sims is in it, so I withdraw that comment.
Yeah, Sims is in it, and he's only in it, I believe, because Sharp dropped out. So
okay.
So it's
tough. It's tough for those big dudes to win because it doesn't look as good.
Right, for sure.
Yeah.
I had a bet on Ibaka the year Griffin jumped over a car. And Ibaka had the sickest dunk ever. It was for more money than it should have been. It paid out a lot. I don't know that I've gotten over that one. That pissed me off. I think it's 2010 into 11. So I'm still a little salty.
I think it's also like the showmanship's kind of been lacking too. I mean,
there's only so many dunks you can do.
Yeah, I mean, you got so that's the thing. You gotta be creative. Like Aaron Gordon, when he dunked over the mascot, I was shocked he didn't win that dunk contest because I was like, dude, that's one of those ones where you haven't seen, whatever. So I was surprised.
between the legs. Years ago, Cedric Sabalas was supposedly he was blindfolded. He supposedly could see through it. I mean, there's only so many gimmicks you can do dunking a basketball, and it takes some creativity, but eventually you just run out of ideas.
We will
Final
get
game of the
we'll
night.
get we'll get a I was gonna say we'll get a Bankers Open. We'll get all like 4 or 5 of us that do the Bankers Open, and we'll all meet up on like a 7-foot rim, and we'll have our own dunk contest
That wouldn't be a bad idea. That'd be good content right there.
on Gold
Isn't
Boy's
McAfee
card.
like 6'6" though? He's got us all.
Yeah, McAfee, I
That's
guess, is
fair.
huge. Crazy.
All right, last game. I just want to put that out there because
Yeah,
I'll,
go
I'll
ahead.
email somebody.
Blazers, Wizards, two kind of depressing teams, just going nowhere. Blazers, Dame's going to be there forever. Beal's going to be with the Wizards forever. Neither of them are ever going to win anything. I don't know. This game kind of bums me out. Both these teams played last night. Blazers buried the Lakers. Wizards lost in Golden State, and now their second road game of back to back. Nick, what you got here? Blazers, Wizards, anything you like?
I have one play. I took Porzingis points ladder. He's had 30 plus in 4 of his last 6. He had 32 against Portland earlier this year. The Blazers allow the most points to centers. Kuzma looks to be back. I don't know how much he's going to play with that bad ankle. I don't know. As long as he makes his shots, I'm pretty confident in this play. Obviously, dumb statement there, but he usually gets
if players make their shots, they usually score points.
Yeah, sometimes. Usually he comes out like his big games. He has a big first quarter, so it's kind of easy to tell with him. He'll come out, knock down a few threes, and have like 12 points in the first quarter. So hopefully it's one of those games for him. Probably Eubanks on him, I'm guessing, for Portland. I just like this spot here for him. And with Kuzma's ankle, I don't know how much he's going to be. His mobility is going to be challenged as well. So
Right.
see if KP can take over a little bit.
Yeah, we love Tingus Pingus. He's usually able to do. This is actually a really good matchup, especially because Portland's like a sneaky good defensive team. But the one thing that they could be getting beat by is these shooting bigs. So I do like that.
Anything to add? Anything you're going to bet in this one?
I really didn't like as you mentioned, these are just depressing teams, so I actually avoided it as well, just in terms of back to back both teams. I don't necessarily like any spots for an under with how these defenses can fold at certain times, but I didn't really find it any value in terms of a prop market.
We covered all the games. There's only 5 of them. Anything else before we get out of here?
No, I guess the one thing I'll say is kind of reiterating what I mentioned before is that with the All-Star game coming in close, a lot of guys being tired, a lot of new rosters, it's okay to not have a thought on a game or to not have a lean on a game. And it's okay to kind of find your best 1 or 2 or 3 spots and ride those and then, minimize the damage if you have a bad game or maximize your chances of winning with your best spots rather than having 40 props in and then checking your account and seeing that you're 2 for 38.
Yeah, 2 for 38 is a tough night. We've all been there. 2 for 38 is not a good one. You guys betting any baseball yet? Have you bet any season win totals, props, futures?
I'll just go tail Nick, and then if he misses, I'll get really upset.
Anything in your account, Nick?
I have nothing. I was literally looking at World Baseball Classic stuff.
When does
right,
that start?
like
It's
right.
gotta be soon, right?
Yeah, a bunch of them have reported already.
In March. See, I don't. That's why you can't go up against March Madness if you're going to play. And it's tough to do these baseball tournaments because you got to get the pitchers in shape, and nobody wants to be throwing their guys max. If you're the Mets, you don't want Diaz, throwing 100 miles an hour early February trying to get people out. Like it's just, I don't know that it works. It's fun. It's the idea of it's fun, but man, you're going to go up against March Madness now. Like I can't. I know. Like I love baseball as much as anyone. For me, it's tough though. It's just. Tough doing the timing of it. It's tough it's tough going against the tournament.
March 24th looks like the final, I think.
Okay.
So that's like right at the tournament too. Like that's that's an interesting. I thought maybe it'd be like enough before where you can like kind of have them separate, but yeah, that's a tough market to compete in.
Like now would be the perfect time for it. You're after the Super Bowl, but again, that's just you got to get your pitchers ready for it.
And you have an All-Star break. This weekend would be the time to do it, but it's a little cold. Well, depending.
Who do you guys got here? You got in Will's words, you got your $100 free bet to win it all. DR plus 220, USA plus 260, Japan plus 290, Venezuela plus 1500, Puerto Rico 1800, and Mexico 1800.
I'd have to see the rosters. I would like a little more on Japan, but Japan, it feels like they're always just in shape. Like they play year. Do they play year round? I feel like,
Sure
you know,
seems like it.
yeah, it feels like it's more like their season where they're. I don't know. I feel like they take more pride in it. I would say that. So I would be interested in Japan. They always have good pitching. You know, the Dominican lineup is just insane. I just don't know how much pitching they have. What's the price on Dominican? Plus 220?
220.
220.
Yeah. He didn't even
USA's
mention
lineup's good
he
too.
didn't
But they have
even
no pitching.
mention plus 8,000 for Italy, so I don't really know what to think about that. But I kind of was leaning Japan, as Will kind of mentioned too, is in terms of much as you want to back USA, I think pride's a big part of it, and this is the sport where I think pride can kind of win you games or steal you games. So that's
Right.
where I'd lean, but it kind of does suck that it is all under plus 300, and you have Venezuela at 15-1. Where it's
Right.
really like they know these three teams are the loaded rosters, and then the rest of the way is just all
Yes.
super
exactly.
long shots.
There's not like an 8-1 that's juicy or a 10-1. It's all just like 2,
Yeah,
3.
it's
Yeah, I
all
don't know.
it's all just these three, and then good fucking luck. It's really kind of annoying to think about. But it's, I don't even blame the market. I mean, that's kind of where
Right.
we're looking at this year.
And
Yeah,
I'm sure if you,
My
no, if
long
you,
shot for this is Puerto Rico plus 1,800.
who do they have on their team?
I have to pull up the roster. I just
No
looked at
idea.
their pitch. They had their pitching. I mean, they just had. I feel like it's going to come down to some of these teams have absolutely no pitching. Like I feel like USA's roster is good, but they just. I mean, they have Kershaw. Is Kershaw really going to pitch that much? He does. He's never.
mean-
even
I
ready.
mean, Will
If you're the
mentioned-
Dodgers, do I want my guy pitching like maybe throw an
he's not
inning or
gonna
two? But I
fit.
don't want my guy going 6 innings in this. Like no way in March.
I think that's the biggest thing with the timing of this, and just like the
Yeah.
world we live in now, especially because it's like, I mean, like 2015, like 15 years ago, 20 years ago, it's like, you grab a cigar and you go hurl, and then you just come back and report to camp. But like with the way that they handle these guys load,
Yeah.
and like how they handle their innings and their pitch count, it's so hard to like trust. Like you can look at their roster and say, holy shit, look at this team's pitching rotation. And then they get pulled after 3 innings, and you're like, oh, that sucked. Like, yeah, it's very interesting to like kind of cap based off that, because you have to figure that some of these big names aren't even going to be that much of a factor.
And then you worry about these guys ramping up too early, and that could be a concern where it's like not even pitching the games, but the fact that you have to ramp up to get ready to throw, high leverage games. If you're like the Mets with Diaz or, some of these guys, you're trying to save big games and emotional games in like the middle of March, and you're supposedly you're trying to win a championship in October, early November. That's a long season. I don't know. It's tricky. It's really tricky.
Puerto Rico has Javi Baez, Kike Hernandez, Lindor, Eddie Rosario, Maldonado.
How about for pitching?
Pitching, they have Jose Barrios, Edwin Diaz, Marcus Stroman.
Stroman pitches for them?
Yeah, which is kind of crazy.
That is
Jorge
interesting.
Lopez.
Can Barrios pitch outside of Toronto? Like he can't even travel to any other city and pitch well. Can he?
I
Can he
think
pitch somewhere?
I think he can pitch better in Puerto Rico, dude. I know him super well, and
Yeah, I love that guy. I bet on him a
super
lot.
nice dude. Super nice dude. When he went to Toronto, man, he was so good in Minnesota.
Yeah, he was
So
great,
good.
Oh, yeah.
great breaking ball. He was just I don't
And
know.
like I don't
was
know
it?
what happened when he went to Toronto. He couldn't throw.
He just
strikes.
can't pitch. He can't pitch outside of the city. It's crazy. Like his away
nuts.
splits to his home splits are crazy.
It's
He
so
actually is
bad.
on my MLB Hall of Fame, because I once like Pickett tracks on my bets, and I once meant to put 35 on his PPE market for 6 strikeouts and win. It was -135, and I put 135, and I accidentally fat fingered a 0, so I put $1,350 on it. And all the people that followed me on Pickett got these like buzzes notification that said BrianVsTheBooks put 13.5 units on this PP, and I had to be like, oh shit, guys, like I
Did it
messed
hit?
up. Don't. Yeah, he hit, and it was the game that they played the Orioles, and they blew a 6-2 lead in the 8th inning or whatever, and I was like sweating. It was Vlad hit a walk off in the 9th, but they were up like 6-1, and they allowed 5 innings from the bullpen in the,
Wow.
in the 8th, and I was about to shoot my TV. But
If he's on,
great time.
he has some of the grossest stuff. Like
he's
his
got good
stuff
talent.
He's
moves
awesome.
so much. But
He's got
yeah,
good
or
talent.
if he's off though, he's out quick.
Yeah, they gave up a lot to get him too. From everyone said,
Yeah,
like,
they
the
did.
prospects were good. All right, boys. Good luck with your plays. Thank you to Pickett Sports, Boom Fantasy. We'll be back Thursday. Brian, Nick, this was a pleasure. Thank you guys for listening. See you next time.